And joining me in studio now is Mr. Brian Altunian, Chief Operating Officer of Platinum Studios. Their stock symbol's PDOS. Brian, always good to see you.
Thank you, Don.
I always feel so privileged when you walk in because you've become such a big Hollywood player now. You come walking in here by yourself, no entourage, no bodyguards, nobody in a black car speaking into their cufflink.
Right.
But you know, I mean, I say that in jest because in the 12 or 14 months that we've been watching the company, we've seen you make this tremendous transition from essentially a content provider to a real Hollywood player.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting, Don, because you know, we've just gotten really focused at Platinum Studios. We know what we've got from the perspective of value. We've got this very large library of comic book material. We've had a number. I will say we've had 2 outside companies do valuations on the library. You know, put it about $150 million value. We knew that there was value from a financial perspective, but it's all, you know, the difference is all in execution. And so we really focused this last year on executing on our strategy of exploiting this material. And so we've got so many deals in film and television now that are moving forward. Obviously, Dead of Night, which we wrapped, which we're in post-production now, is going to be released next year. Cowboys and Aliens, we have mentioned here before, we've got a production office set up. We just announced this week that we've got yet another one of our graphic novels, Nightfall, that with my friend Bill Stewart and his company Aurora Productions, that we're moving into a feature film production. And so there's just a lot of activity happening, and that's because it's focused on execution strategy.
And you talk about $150 million valuation, which is certainly nothing to sneeze at, but it's chump change compared to what Disney paid $4 billion for Marvel. But after that deal was done, and I've said this to you before, people started looking around saying, well, the only other company I know with a library as big or bigger than what Marvel had is Platinum Studios.
And we're the only company in that space, in the comic book space, that has had a lot of experience with the film studios and the television network. So, you know, there are other libraries out there, smaller libraries, and some more popular titles than some of the Platinum titles, but nobody that is as active in the entertainment industry as Platinum Studios. And so that does give us definitely an advantage. We know what we're talking about when we go to wheel and deal. And by the way, I'll just say one thing: on our acquisition fees, we get better acquisition fees. We get better fees up front for the rights to our properties than anybody else, and in some cases including Marvel and DC.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, a lot of the Marvel and DC characters have already been pretty much played out.
That's right.
Where a lot of the stuff that you have is just now coming into the fold.
That's right, and they're very superhero focused. You know, it's all about, you know, some, you know, men in tights, but you know, Platinum's library, it really spans all genres. You know, and that's the one thing that makes us very attractive. It's great to have a material that has it has its origins in comic books, because that audience is very, you know, very fervent and a very loyal following. But the fact that the story is really storytelling on, you know, thriller and action, adventure, and romance, and a little bit of superhero too, really gives us a lot to choose from.
Well, plus I think too that, you know, the transition in Hollywood to, you know, many special effects and dynamic special effects allows them to make better films using comic book characters, because it's really all about fantasy, and now they can bring that to the screen. Exactly
Exactly the reason why comic books have been so popular. And again, we're starting to see a lot of movies being made now that really fall outside that superhero genre. So it's again good time to be Platinum Studios for sure.
The stock symbol's PDOS, Platinum Studios Incorporated. Brian, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Don.